Hello, and welcome to this video showing how to create a custom business task using Assyrium. What I'm going to do today is create a task for my operations staff to be able to change the configuration of my F5 load balancer and change the pool behind a virtual server. So you can see on my F5 that I've got 3 virtual servers defined here, and the one I'm going to create the task for is this main website London. Now this is what everybody within the organization knows to be the corporate website, but the actual configuration name within the F5 is this main website London. Now our pool list on our F5 gives us several pools, but the two we want to be able to offer the operations staff to switch the corporate website between are the London primary Linux pool and the London secondary Linux pool. So the idea here is that the virtual server name here will be fixed in the task, but the operations staff will get to pick between the two pools of servers that will sit behind that virtual server. So the next task is to go on the command line of the F5 load balancer and have a look at how we would actually implement the task. So I'm going to use my Assyrium desktop client to go to my DMZ load balancer and do a single sign-on over the secure shell. So there's me in as Purple Kev admin, and in here I am going to practice my commands. So I've already looked up in the manual how to do this. So this second command here is the tm shell modify command, which changes the virtual server. In this example I've written here to the secondary pool. So let's take a copy of that, try that at the command line, and when that goes in correctly we get no prompt back at the command line. If I take this tm shell list command just to verify the command is taken, so pool London secondary, and if we were to now do the same command but to the primary pool, we would also see now there that it's changed to the London primary pool. So we know this is the correct configuration, so we can now go ahead and build our task within Assyrium. So there's already a template in Assyrium for the F5 TMOS version 10. The current template in this one I have here is version 2.28. So I'm going to download this template and then I can make changes and add my new version in. So I'll just stick it on the desktop. There we go. And I'm going to open it with my text editor, and in here you'll see the XML of the file. Now at the end of this template file there is a section for adding business process tasks, so these are user specific tasks, and there's a certain format that these have to follow. So what I've done is I've built up the tasks that I need in the format. So the first thing we need to do is add in the user task section, which basically gives a display name and a mapping to the task name. So let's write that into our user task section. The next thing we do is we tell the task that we want 2 inputs to the task. One is the name of the virtual server we're going to change. This is a fixed parameter which will be defined on the F5 device within Assyrium. And the other input is the drop down, which the operations guy is going to be able to pick the pool that he wants to make the change to. So let's copy our parameters and we'll write our parameters into the file. And finally we have the task itself. The task obviously has a name, it's got the 2 parameters that we're asking the task to use, and we also have some display text around the selection of the pool, so we can ask the user to please select a pool. We then go on to the command that needs to be run. Now this is the command that we practiced earlier in the command line of the F5, but you'll see here that the name of the virtual server is being substituted for the one that the parameter sends us, as does the name of the pool gets substituted for the name of the pool that the user is selecting when they're running this task. And again, we verified at the command line that getting a blank prompt back means that it has changed successfully, and if we get any other kind of error message then it's a failed task. any kind of error message which gets hit at this point will be logged by Assyrium as the reason why. So let's take the task section and we'll add that into the task here. Now, one other point to mention quickly is it is possible to add in a subtask at the start of this little sequence, and the subtask can be configured to go and back up the device that we're changing first. Now, I'm not going to do that just to keep this example nice and simple, but it is possible to automatically back up devices before tasks are applied. So, one last thing I'm going to do to this template now is, before I save it, I've made some changes here adding this task in. I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to increment the version number of this template from 28 to 29, and then I'm going to save that on my desktop as version 229. That should give us a new file. There it is. So what we can do now is upload that into Assyrium, and then we can try out the task. So we upload our new template in our template section and our manage device templates, and we click upload new. We browse to the task we want to upload, which is on the desktop here, and there is our 229 file we've just created. Now Assyrium will do a syntax check of that file just to make sure it's okay, and it's passed that, so that template is now ready for us to use. So the first thing we want to do now is go into our devices, and we will find our DMZ load balancer, which is currently using version 2.28 of the F5 template. We want to now migrate that device to a new version of the template to use our new 229. So I'm just going to migrate that one device. Now normally you would do this to one test device in a lab before rolling it out to the whole of the production range. So this is kind of simulating just doing one change on a test system. So there's our F5 now using template 229. If I now drill into that device, we will now see we have some configuration on this device which shows that the new task, switch corporate website pool, has appeared, and it has two inputs, the virtual server and the pool list. So going back to our text file, we will open up the name of the virtual server here, and we will set the name of the virtual server so that's hard-coded within the task. Now for the pool list, we have the ability to put in multiple entries that have a display name and a value. So I will go and pick the primary pool server, and in here I will add in the primary pool and its value, and I will also add in the secondary pool and its value. And this is us giving it clear business related names rather than the configuration names, the technical configuration names within the F5 device. So there is our primary and secondary pools. We save that. That's now put all the information together for that task. Now we can look to assign that task to some users through a profile. So here on the profiles page we have a load balancer admin's profile already created. Now this is the one I'm currently logged in as the user Kev Purple, and this gives me admin level access to the DMZ load balancer. I can do that via browser shell, and I can also run techout or backup commands. Now what I want to do here is manage the tasks and add in the new task that we've now made available, which is the switch corporate website pool. So we just drag that down there. In that goes. What that should now give us is down on the desktop client, when I go to my F5 load balancer, we'll see this new task that's appeared, switch corporate website pool. Now if I click on that switch corporate website pool to make a change, here we can see the input option that's being given to us is please select pool, and there's our primary and our secondary pools. Now just before I go ahead and test that, I want to open up my F5 management interface so I can verify the changes are taking place. So I would drill into the resources of my virtual server, and we can see here that the London pool is the London primary pool is the one that's active. I'm now going to change this to the secondary pool. So I ask Assyrium to go off and do that task. That should then come back and tell us, there we go, task successful. If I just click the resources button here, which effectively refreshes the F5 interface screen, you can immediately see there it's gone to the secondary pool. If I go down and try the task again, I can switch it back to the primary pool, execute the task, yes, off it goes again. Comes back nice and quick, and now again clicking in the resources we can see it set it back to the primary pool. So we know there our task is working successfully. Now the other thing that we might want to do is within our profiles we have this load balancer admins profile. I've also got a load balancer operators profile. The idea here is to give other members of staff guest level access. So this is my operations team. They have guest level access to the load balancer, so they can go in at the browser and check the configuration just like I did. Now we can also give them the ability to use the same task and be able to reconfigure that pool behind the virtual server for the corporate website. So click and save on that now. That dynamically updates the menu within their desktop client, and that gives them the ability to make those changes. If we go down to our system queue, we can see where I ran the task and I switch the corporate website pool. We can see here where I switched between the secondary pool and the primary pool, so it's all being audited and against the user and the device that it was run against.
So, in this video we've shown you how to use Assyrium's automation capabilities to create a delegated task which can be safely given to junior members of staff to be able to make changes to the F5 virtual server pool configurations. Thank you.